Now he's going to dig into the box. 1-2 coming. It's down. Oh my gosh! Wow! He got tears. Gets it to take on Mississippi Valley State here this evening in the series opener. First time these two teams have hooked up against each other in 15 years.
Coming up on the latest Plate Meeting podcast, we'll talk to Reggie Drummer. Don't know the name? You most certainly know the umpire. He was the center of the firestorm in game one of a 3-game series between Mississippi Valley State and New Orleans. For the first time on record, he'll tell his side of the story coming up next.
We are so glad you joined us wherever you may be joining us from. Mims hitting .356 and 45 at-bats this year with 6 runs batted in. And the first pitch of the evening is taken for a ball. We are underway officially at 6:33 p.m.
This is the Plate Meeting podcast, and Reggie Drummer, thank you so much for joining us.
No problem. Glad to be here.
So before we get to what happened in the baseball game, I want to let you tell people, it's the first time we're meeting face-to-face, just a little bit about yourself. How long have you been umpiring college baseball?
College baseball right now, 5-6 years.
So it came to my attention that you've worked in the league that I worked in last season, trying to better yourself. You got a job in the American Association.
Yes, sir. Correct.
And did you have a lot of problems in the American Association? Have a lot of ejections?
No, sir. No, sir. Them guys from the coaching staff to the players, man, they made me a better umpire. My staff, my crew chief, they all made me a better umpire. I mean, it was love, you know.
So one of the things that I've heard, and I've talked to a lot of people from the universities to umpires to people that were there. One of the things that I've heard is integrity, good guy, gives back to the community. I haven't heard any negativity when it associates with you. So we're going to get to the game in a second, but I also understand you do a lot of work with the police and the community in your home area of Baton Rouge. Can you just talk to our viewers and let them know, you know, how you're a uniter?
Well, umpires, you know, bad spotlight is shown up on us every game because if you don't make the right call, they think you missed it, you know. Police, they get a lot of abuse also. And my whole point was I wanted to let people know all umpires are not bad, all police are not bad. So what I done, I got with some friends of mine that work for Baton Rouge Police Department, and we got a softball game together to try and bridge the gap and bring the community together so they can see that, hey, there are some good umpires, there are some good police officers. And we also raised money for children of fallen officers. It was kind of like Make-A-Wish. And I mean, it's been a success for the past 3 years, you know, and everything I do, I try and give back. Like this past November, I gave an umpiring camp. We had over 50 umpires. They didn't have to pay not 1 cent to attend this camp because I want these guys to learn. I want them to be the best they can be on the field. I don't care if it's at LSU or if it's at U-Trip. I want you to be the best on the field. So if I can give back, I feel good with myself, and that's just how I was raised. And I know God has a purpose for me. And I think that is the true purpose, is helping these younger guys come along, get better, don't make some of the same mistakes that the older guys and myself have made. And iron sharpens iron. So we can all come together and do what we're supposed to do, give love, give peace, go out there, enjoy baseball, and have a good time, man, it would be so much better.
So one of the things that I heard as well is that, unlike me, who went to Division I and forgot to do other things and just stopped working at those levels, except in the summertime, you are still working at the high school level, trying to help umpires get to the level that you've reached into the SEC, the SWAC, and the Southland. Why do that?
Because once again, it's just the way I was raised. You know, my dad and my mom always taught me to give back. No matter how far you make it, never look down on anybody. And my whole thing is, with the high school level, if I can go out there and perfect my craft, because I'm working on stuff also, but I'm also, my main purpose is to get these guys and show these guys the right way, the pro way to work a baseball game. And I know if they mess something up, they know that I have their back, and my relationship with the coaches, it would get handled in a timely manner and in a professional manner. And we never had no problems. I never had no problems with umpiring.
Well, I had heard from a birdie that in your 100-plus games with the American Association, you had 3 ejections. So it's not like you were going around trying to remove people from games. You're just doing your job, and that's how it works. So you're not a willy-nilly like I was when I was in the AA, dumping guys left and right.
No, I just tried to be fair. It was a learning curve also. But man, even after the ejections I had, man, the next day, the coaches and the players, man, we shook hands, we laughed it off, and we got right back to business.
Professional baseball, it really is a great thing. When you woke up a couple Fridays ago, this is one thing that umpires are just like everybody else. We put our pants on one leg at a time. And Reggie, I know when you woke up a couple Fridays ago, you did not think, you know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to end up having 10 million people know my name. So I just want to take me through what you do on a day that you're getting ready to start. And you were the crew chief of this series at the University of New Orleans against Mississippi Valley State. Take me through your mindset going into this series as the leader of the crew.
Well, I reached out to my guys earlier that week and also that morning. Let them know, like, hey, we need to be in town at this time, what we would be wearing. Just going over game management stuff because I knew they was kind of new. So I wanted them to be comfortable. So we're just breaking the ice. Once we got to New Orleans, we all notified each other. We met, we talked, we headed to the park. In the locker room, we were talking to the clubby, which was she's phenomenal. And we're just going over game situations, And I told him, I said, hey, look, UNO, they can hit the baseball. I hadn't had Valley yet this year, so I don't know what they have. We just go out there and have fun. I say, if anything happens, let's get together. Let's take our time. Let's get it right, and go from there. But I never imagined that, after the game, 10 million people would know who Reggie Drummer was.
And probably more, but let's try to walk this back a little bit because let me just take a look at my notes here. So the first incident of this game, to what I have gathered, happened in the 3rd inning, and it involves a racial slur directed at you.
Right.
Can you take me through what was said? We'll bleep it out if we have to. I hope we can. Right. And just find out what led up to everything, piece by piece here.
Okay, well, actually, it started in the 1st inning. Okay. So, the pitches. Okay, so Valley batted first as a visiting team. I caught it batted out on some pitches that crossed the plate. Okay, they didn't think they were strikes. The fans, especially, they didn't think they were strikes. And one person in particular is Valley head coach Milton. His brother was probably the loudest one in the park. And he was letting me know that they was not strikes. So when Valley comes to bat, when they come to play defense and UNO comes to bat, Valley was throwing pitches that was off the plate, and I was calling them balls. And they was letting me have it. And by the 3rd inning, that's when I started hearing stuff that I was cool for the white man, that I was helping UNO, that UNO don't need no help. And somebody said, he's not one of us. And that's when Milton's brother said, no, he's not a real. So after I heard this stuff, I go to Blake. I say, Blake, I don't mind fans chirping.
Now, hold on. Who is Blake?
Blake is UNO's head coach.
Okay.
So I go to Blake, and I say, Blake, I don't mind fans chirping. That's a part of baseball. But I don't go with cheating, and I don't go with racism. Racial slurs are being thrown. They're being said. And I pointed at the guy that said it, and I say, I need him escorted out of here. Blake said, Reggie, no problem. And by the top of the 4th, Right. I believe that's when he was escorted out. And when he was escorted out, he was yelling and letting me have it again, saying he'll be back tomorrow. And he was letting me know how bad of an umpire I was.
So do we know where he was sitting? And this is a pretty big stadium. So
but he wasn't sitting at all. He was standing about 5 feet from Valley's dugout, no more than 10 feet from Valley's dugout at the net. And I mean, flat out yelling.
So in doing, the diligence on this, Reggie, I come to find out that he was ejected allegedly in the HCBU Classic at Minute Maid Park in a game earlier this season.
Right.
What we're hearing, I don't know if you can corroborate that or if you know that or who you're talking to, but that's not really what we're relevant about. So he says that, and you get game management. I have talked to the game management of New Orleans, who has been very forthright, and I must give them a lot of credit. Stephen Stroud, the man I talked to, the associate AD at University of New Orleans, and he said that he was informed that a fan needed to be removed, and they were removed by police, and that, the game proceeded, and then there were, of course, a lot more incidents.
Now, Reggie Drummer's attention, I don't know if it was drawn to somebody in the dugout or maybe somebody in the stands.
The next incident, to my knowledge, and I might be missing something here in what I watched, it kind of flipped the game on a dime. There was a play at second base, and there was a pulled foot. And this is kind of where the game spun out of control for you, where it doesn't look like the head coach, Milton Barney, has any belief in what you're doing out there. Can you take me through your mindset as to what happened in your mind, how you had to change the call at second base and when you get together, and then what Milton Barney says to you after the call is changed?
So once the play was at second, we could all see that he was off the bag. And I looked at the catcher. I said, yeah, he was off. I said, if he get help, he was off. And the catcher said, oh, yeah, he was off. Me and the catcher was agreeing, So Blake, UNO coach, comes out the dugout. By Brett being a young guy, I already knew what Blake wanted. There's nothing else Blake could have wanted. I said, Blake, I got it. And he said, okay, Reggie, thank you. I called the guys together. We got together. I asked my U1 guy, Ben, I said, did you have him off the bag? He said, yes, Reggie, I did. I said, Brett, I had him off the bag also. And Brett, I don't know if he was nervous, but you could hear in his voice he was trembling, and he actually apologized. He said, Reggie, I'm sorry. I said, man, look, no, don't worry about it. I say, point at the base runner, call him safe. I say, if anything happened, I'm going to take care of it after that. That's what he done. Once we called him safe, here we go again.
You didn't have the angle for that. I did. You don't.
So Milton comes out the dugout, and I'm trying to stop Milton before he gets past the foul line, and he just starts going off on me about I'm not giving him the same chance that I'm giving UNO. I say, well, Milton, what do you want? He was like, well, let me talk. I said, okay, Milton, talk. He said, look at you. You one of us. You're not giving us the same chance that you're giving him. I said, what you mean, Milton? He said, you're letting him talk. I said, Milton, no, I didn't. I said, I knew what Blake wanted, and I told him, I got it. Go back to the dugout, and he did. But you're not giving us the same chance. I said, well, Milton, what are you saying? And that's when he was, implying that as a black guy, I should be helping them win, that UNO don't need no help. And if you look at the game, you can see me throw my hand like, hey, man, that's enough. We're not going that route, and I walks off. And by that time, everybody on Mississippi Valley side is just giving me the business about how I'm helping UNO cheat. And that's when I heard that I'm an Uncle Tom, he's an Uncle Tom and all this stuff. So I'm like, and by that time, I'm not upset. I'm more hurt because I'm getting all this from my own people. When I know I'm calling a good game, I'm calling a fair game. If you watch the video of the game, I don't think nobody would disagree.
Here at Maestri Field, and while we were in the break, both benches were warned. Some jawing back and forth. Drummer has just tossed Davion Hall, and again it comes right on the heels of both benches being warned.
So all this happens, and then the next inning we have a mound visit. Milton says nothing at the mound visit. Now he stood out there a while, so I knew he wanted me to come out there. And when I get out there, he says absolutely nothing. His pitcher taps the catcher in the chest and says, I'm going to have to hit you right here because he's been squeezing us all game. And that's when I gave him a warning. And the first baseman was about to say the same thing because he almost got squeezed out his mouth. But when I gave the pitcher a warning, he shut up. I go back. And as the inning played out, Valley has they recorded 3 outs. And when the pitcher walks off the field, he looks over at me and he said, "You're fucking horrible," or "You fuck," or something like that. And that's when he was ejected.
Yeah. And that actually was the second ejection of the game. Let's double back for a second here because a batter got ejected in the top of the 7th inning. And this is where things start to get heated. Not with necessarily you and Mississippi Valley State, but at the end of the 7th inning, you had to issue warnings because by all accounts, these two teams were now angry at each other. So it wasn't only, so they were just angry, it seemed like. So take me through why warnings had to be issued at the end of the 7th.
Well, it was an inside pitch. It was a strike. The Valley batter didn't agree with it. And he turned around and told me that wasn't a strike. I said, that's your warning, going back to the dugout. He said, man, you're fucking horrible. And that's when I ejected him. Now, the bench warnings came because one of Valley players, matter of fact, this same pitcher, before I issued him a warning, he said something to UNO batter. And UNO batter did not respond. He did not say one word to him. When the inning was over, they got a ground ball. One of Valley players said something to UNO players, and the UNO player responded. That's when I gave both teams a bench warning. UNO done nothing wrong, but I mean, you can't say something to a guy and don't expect him to say something back, you know, and you can't give one team a warning when two people are going back and forth at each other. So that's why I gave Valley bench a warning and I gave UNO a warning. And UNO said nothing. Valley said everything. So when Valley player got ejected, he goes in the dugout and he throws his helmet or something up against the dugout. And one of UNO fans must have said, hey, don't tear our dugout up. And he yells out the dugout, hey, you. And that's when you will see me call times. And I go to Milton to try and say, man, you need to control your team. And he was like, I don't need to control nothing. Y'all are cursing us. I said, Milton, what have we said? And he couldn't say nothing. He didn't say not one word. He just said we was cursing the players. And I'm like, well, Milton, what have we said? And I said, it couldn't be them because the only person you didn't talk to is me. But he never told me what cursing I said, what curse word I used, or what I said. And I'm like, Milton, can you please gain control of your dugout? And he wouldn't. He just flat out said that's not his problem. They are getting treated unfairly. And like, if you watch the game, both my partners had close plays all night. Nothing was ever said to them. It was all on Reggie.
So we get to the 9th inning. Mm-hmm. When I watch the game, Reggie, it just seems like the abuse as I watch, it just seems like it's taking its toll on you. I can see your body language. I don't know if you watched it, but it seems like your body language in the 9th inning is just defeated. You're just beaten to heck. And I like to say to people abused, and hurt people hurt others, right? So you said that you were feeling hurt. And I have to imagine that that had an effect on you, because this is the question everybody wants to know.
Okay.
What happened with the last pitch of the game?
Okay, the last pitch of the game basically was I was hurt. And before the last pitch even happened, I know the guy jumped up and down. I should have gave him a warning for that. And then I should have ejected him when he pointed. Right. But by this time, my lapse in judgment is through the roof because I'm sitting here saying, I can't believe my own people have treated me like this for 3 hours. And I said to myself, I said, man, I feel like I'm on an island. I said, I just want to get out of here. You know, I say, if this pitch is anywhere around the plate, I'm calling a strike so we can get off the field. I never meant to, like, for it to look like it was on purpose, put it like that. But my lapse in judgment and game management, I called a bad pitch, which I regret. You know, I apologize for doing that. But I just wanted to get out of a hostile environment because I've never been in a situation like that. Have I been in hostile environments? Yes, because fans are going to chirp, fans are going to be fans, but never with racism involved, never. And that's where the pitch come from. I wasn't trying to screw that kid. I wasn't trying to say, Valley, up yours. No, my whole deal was I'm beat to death. I just want to get to the locker room and whatever happens, happens. And I told the guys that when we got to the locker room, I said, guys, look, it's probably going to be something from this game. And the first thing they said was, Reggie, you should have never been treated like this. And that's it in a nutshell. You know, I played baseball too long, and I would never screw a kid. You know, I would never say, okay, yeah, I got you. Yeah, I'm going to do this. No, that's not how I operate because I do too much for kids, and I do too much for African-American kids. So why would I turn around and say, okay, I'm finna screw you? No, that's not how I operate, you know. And I would tell anybody, if you know my heart, you know my character, and that's why I have gotten so much support because of who I am. And they know that, you know, I had people call and say, I know something happened before that pitch, you know. And I mean, I regret it. If I could do it all over, the game probably wouldn't have finished because Valley wouldn't have had enough players to be on the field. You know, I would have ejected Milton earlier. I probably ejected 8 or 9 players, probably cleared all the fans out. You know, it was a big learning situation for me, you know, and it made me stronger because, you know, my mom and dad used to tell me all the time, and even in church, you know, God gives his toughest battles to his strongest warriors. And this has truly made me a stronger man and an umpire, you know. And I thank God, you know, it might sound crazy, but I thank God that it happened to me, you know, because somebody else might have not been strong enough to overcome what happened. But God made me stronger. Yeah, I bended a little, you know, I shedded tears because my family saw all of the comments, you know, and I tried to tell them, don't read that stuff because those people don't know me, you know. So yeah, it hurt, you know, and it still hurts because you know, the Southland took my schedule away, you know, and without even talking to me, you know. And I just wish they would have told me, you know, either over the phone or to my face, at least talk to me first and then make your decision, you know. But hey man, at the end of the day, I just want people to learn from this video. I'm gonna keep helping umpires. That Monday, I went right back and done a game. You know, I have done games, 3-man games for free to help guys learn 3-man. So I got right back on the field because people were saying, Reggie, just don't stop. You know, hey, go back out there. I didn't call plates. I had a game the other night. After the game, the coach, his exact words were, Reggie, I don't know if we have had bad umpires, but you are by far the best umpire that we have had this year. And I almost cried because he didn't know what I had just gone through.
Yep. Let me ask you this. Tell assigners why you deserve a chance to continue umpiring.
I mean, I made a mistake. Like, we are all human. Like, none of us walk on water. We have all made mistakes in umpiring world, and not just in the umpiring world, in life. And we have gotten second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth chances, you know. And like I say, in 7 years, I have never had a problem with a signer, with a fan, with an umpire, with a coach, a base, nothing out of the ordinary. But let me ask you this, and I will ask every assigner and ask everybody that saw this video, look in the mirror and ask yourself, if you're getting berated with racial slurs, how much could you take? And it's just at you. How much could you take?
Well, even if it's just that F you, I don't know there's much I can take. Anybody, I mean, you are by far a much stronger man than most anybody I know. Period.
Appreciate it. I appreciate it.
I'll give you the closing thoughts, the last word, Reggie. You certainly deserve it. You haven't had a chance to speak your piece until this interview. You get the last word.
Hey, if you know Reggie Drummer, you know Reggie Drummer. I haven't changed. You know, I'm still laughing. I feel better now. Like I said, I want everybody to learn from this video. If anybody come across racism at a baseball game, just call times and have whoever's saying it or that section or whatever removed from the stadium. Because it's no place in 2023 that we should have racism, not just at a baseball game, but in the world, period. You know, and it's sad to say that it's still going on, but man, just learn from this video. You know, just learn from this video. God gave a tough battle to a tough person. And hey, I'm still here, man. I got a baseball game tonight. I'm gonna go work my tail off. I'm gonna go make the person on the field better. And we just gonna keep umpiring.
I hope someday that I am lucky enough to take the field with you, Reggie Drummer.
I appreciate
Thank you so much.
Me too.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
a few minutes. That does it for this edition of the Plate Meeting Podcast. On behalf of everybody at Close Call Sports, always do what's right, not what's easy. Happy umpiring, everyone.